Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session at Wiki in 2021. Um, this session is African Wikimedians Volunteer Support Network. The African Wikimedia Committee is consistently growing more volunteers and athletes. So this session will seek to propose a volunteer support network for the African athletes to find ways in which they can cross collaborate and support each other. And with me is Justice Okai Alate and Joy Japong. Justice has been a volunteer with Wikipedia since 2016. He's a freelance digital amplifier and currently a volunteer with Wikimedia Ghana User Group. He's an active member, an active advocate for mental health, the environment, and a freelance photographer. Yeah, and Joy is team lead with our initiative. She's the director at FactLens Ghana, also formerly an administrative executive at the Open Foundation West Africa. FactLens with our initiative. So welcome our speakers and take it on. Thank you.
Okay. Hi everyone. Like Doctor said, my name is Duffy, and I'm doing this session with Jordan. So
Hello, everyone.
basically, we are going to um, talk about an idea that we had post Wikimania, where I, for one, was on the panel on volunteer support network and how to grow like peer support among Wikimedians. And so um, it comes from the back of also the Wikimedian volunteer support network, which is a very large network in Europe that have been doing basically what we are trying to propose to the African community. But largely, we want African Wikimedians to support, to create a peer support network of a sort where we could share ideas, where we could help each other, where we could understand our very unique problems and find collective solutions to it. So, John, do you have anything to say before we move on?
Okay, so just to add to what Justice said, this is an opportunity for us to um, throw more light and exchange ideas on how we can have a strong volunteer support network in Africa. And I mean, like Justice was saying, there are several regions that have done that and it's working for them. So we believe that bringing it to Africa would help us, especially with regards to cross collaborations and any other support that is impeding on probably our progress as community members. So basically, that's what I want to add.
Yeah. So before we start our conversation, we were supposed to have Christelle from the Trust and Safety team join us for this conversation. Since the Trust and Safety team have been working on building a draft, a document for peer support among regions, she had this message to for everybody since she couldn't join in person. So I'll read greetings to everyone from Germany. I'm very sorry I cannot attend this session myself, but Justice kindly agreed to read out this message to me. I congratulate Justice for his forward thinking on this issue, and I'm very happy Joy is also driving the idea for a stronger network of African volunteers. In a way, everyone involved in the Wikimedia project already is part of a volunteer network. We all work together to share knowledge. We are all at times support someone with our skills, experience, and resources. And in turn, we often find others supporting our work. Sometimes this mutual help is something small, like fixing a typo. Sometimes it is a much more. It is much more. But this network still has holes, and many people are not as well connected to it as others. As a trust and safety team member, I hope this initiative will especially help people struggling to feel welcome and safe on our platform to be connected with people who will be on their side in times of trouble and adversity. I wish you all a fruitful conversation that would help to fill some of the holes and gaps in our network. This will help add a few important new notes to it, notes through which African contributors can build their impact, make their voices heard, and that will help their good work be more visible to the rest of our global community. Thank you all for being here and talking about this today. So we move back to our discussion. When we were preparing for this conversation, there were broad topics that we wanted to touch on. Also, this should be a very interactive conversation. So if you have questions or comments, you can put them in as we talk about it, as we talk, as I talk about the conversation. This we had broad areas that we wanted to talk on. One, discussions to bring thoughts around the subject. So basically, what a volunteer support network would look like for African Wikimedians, knowing the statistics of African administrators. As we all know, sometimes it gets difficult for new Wikimedians to find their way around the wiki. And so, if there's a considerable number of African administrators that we don't know about, this will be the time to collate that number and then try and get them to start educating our people, understanding the issue on large women participation around and contribution to gender topics. We all know um, the issues around gender and how fewer women contribute to Wikipedia and its related sister projects. Also, we want to revamp the African credible sites or sources. A link, let me share the link of, or maybe Joy can find that link and share, where there's a list of credible sources for where anybody in the African region can go there and know which of the sources are credible to use in Wikipedia or its other projects, or which ones you shouldn't use. Also, next steps on how to implement this and who to serve as regional reps. So basically, to start out, um, Joy, what do you say so far about this?
Okay, sorry, I was going to look for the link. But basically, I would also hit more on the third point, that is understanding the issue on large women participation and contribution to gender topics. This is a campaign that has been going on several years. Wikilabs Women has done that. Visible Wiki Women, Women in Red. There are so many campaigns centered on this. But then we realize that when it comes to Africa, there is still lesser women either participating or most of the topics on women being contributed to. So if there are women here, this point is basically for us to share more insights. Do you have any? Have you had any discussion with women or within your community? Are there any challenges? How do we work on it? How do we work around it? Are they comfortable creating more articles on males than female, or is it that the content is not there, or there are no sources backing um, relevant or notable women? We want to understand what the challenges are so that we can, through this network, we can make our voices heard and make sure that our eagerness to increase participation from women's side is gets very high, because we are doing well. but then it's still not enough. Those we in the global south is still not enough. We look at the statistics, it's still on the low side. So maybe while we are discussing other topics, you can think around it and let's see what your take is on so we can move further. So, in regards to the African credible sites, I'm going to share it very soon so we have a look at it. Basically, with that one, it outlines credible sources from the African region. So, if you are in maybe Cameroon or Uganda and you feel like there's a media house that is now credible and your country relies on their sources, let us know because I think the list that the administrators have may be outdated because if you have to create an article and that source is not known to them, they may target for deletion. That is where the second point comes to play because then they don't have a better understanding on what works for which country. So, Justice, let me throw it back to you. Quickly find the link and share it here.
Yes. So basically, we we are thinking of a very pure support network, where a peer support network, I must say, where we, as volunteers, we will take charge of the kind of support we would want to give to each other. So we created a poll to see if people would want to join the peer support. So you can head over to the poll section and take the vote. So far, it's only 3 people that have voted. I can see we have about 21 people on the call. The more people vote, the more we can better have an idea of how to go about this whole method that we are proposing. So, like I was saying, this whole idea is for us as Wikimedians to take charge of um, um, basically what we to take charge of the support network. So, what would you want to see in such a group, and what are some of the ideas that you think we haven't highlighted in our initial topics, so that we can add them to it, and then we can take it from there. So you can put your questions and comments in the chat, and then we'll answer them afterwards.
Yeah, there is one question, Justice. Yeah, from the poll, we can see very many people want to join the African Support Network, the Volunteer Support Network, but how do they join? Where do they start if they'd like to join?
So, so that is why we chose to have this conversation in the first place. We haven't started the draft of what the support network will look like. We just want to introduce it to African Wikimedians to see if there will be buy-in from the community. Once there's buy-in, we can start working on the meta page, and then we will share it in the various channels that we have to get everybody on board. But we want this to be a very co-created support network so that we get everybody's views on board. I'll find the other the support the support network from I think the C region or something, the Wikimedian volunteer support network. They basically do things like we are trying to propose, but because of our unique problem, quite recently, a lot of Africans were concerned about IP blocks and restrictions that was affecting their editing workshop. And so some of us had that issue, and we tried looking for ways for which that problem can be solved. But consistently, when we reached out to a few other people, it seemed it was a very limited space, and how we can get to resolve it. So if we have like a critical mass of Africans who are writing to either administrators or writing to the WMF on this specific problem, because sometimes even though the IP blocks and restrictions are there to serve a good purpose, because of the wide range of the way they push the block, it affects a whole lot of people. And people who are even genuinely editing Wikipedia get to suffer. That is why we are trying to create this support network to give us like a collective voice, and then we can further champion our cause and then support each other.
Yeah, thank you, Justice. Yeah, someone is also asking, can I join the support network? And I think that was related to the previous question you have just answered. Yeah, but there's also one more question. Depending on what you have just mentioned, I think we need more administrators from Africa to be in the kind of like support other volunteers from Africa. So how does someone become an administrator? I know we have, for example, the Luganda Wikipedia, which is a local language Wikipedia in Uganda, but none of our volunteers is actually an administrator on that page, on that Wikipedia. So how does someone become an administrator? Where do they start?
So for there's a whole process of being an administrator that is already there. I think it's when you go on Wikipedia and the English Wikipedia, it says how to be an administrator. It's a whole like a huge checklist. You have to meet a lot of criteria before you can be one. Our focus is not to get. Our focus is to get. If we can help qualified Africans to be administrators, we'll definitely do that. But we need to get the already existing administrators to understand our plight as African Muslims and some of the challenges that we go through. Recently, I was a colleague shared an article where the Ghana Football League was known to not be a professional league, and regardless of what we say and the link that we shared on that article, none of the other editors on there wanted to understand our point. And for me, it became a bit frustrating because we have the local content. We have shared to you like relevant links to let you know that the Ghana Premier League is a professional league. But regardless of what we do, none of the admins on there wanted to accept what we were saying. So this is some of the challenges that we are talking about. If any African Wikimedian has faced any issues with maybe he has edited and there's a lack notability and all that, and there's challenge. Once the support group is created and we have a good mode of how to reach out to members, we will they can put that message in there, and then we can all help if people are available to help, they will help. So for me, this is very important, and it's something we really need to take it up as African Muslims.
Yeah, thank you, Justice.
Yeah, just to add to what Justice said, the administrators that we have, we don't know the statistics of those who belong to Africa. So there's a room for us. It gives us room to make our voice heard and make that call, and let the foundation know that we would need administrators within our locality, because we know our stories better. We know what is right and what is wrong in a way, because we are experienced and we know the credible sites and sources. That is why the list shared is something that is being worked on. And because when these things happen, it really affects newbies, deters them from continuing to edit because they have a lot of conflict with administrators. Administrator will come and share information with you, query you, you respond, and you never hear from the administrator again. So we don't know if there's some level of bias or whatever the issue is, but we feel that this network would be a strong platform that can champion our voice out there.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. And just following up on that, Joy, you asked participants in the session to share about, contributing to women contributions, and also like trying to close the gender gap on Wikipedia, and ask them like to share what are the challenges they face in their countries around this. But I just want to throw that back to you. What are the challenges from Ghana around women contributing to Wikipedia and related projects, and how are you trying to solve those challenges so that other countries can also learn from you?
Okay, so one of the
So
challenges.
I think I'll defer this question to
Okay,
sorry.
Justin, what do you say?
So I was saying that this you are the best person to answer this.
Yeah, he was actually asking me. Yeah, so regards to that with the women participation, what we have realized is that they may come for the events all right, but then I think other responsibilities that they have at home sometimes prevents them from being consistent, and also some to get to a point they lose their interest because other things comes to play. And then lastly, when they find a notable person that they want to create about, because of the restrictions on credible sources, if it doesn't meet it, then they have to like put it down, and then their interest dies off. I know a couple of volunteers who started articles in their inbox, their sandbox, and they were so eager to work on it, but they realized that they were not having sites or sources to back it. So it's still sleeping in their sandbox. There's nothing that they can do. So you realize that aspects of contribution goes a bit down, unlike males who are all eager to go more and research more. And fortunately, there are lots of information about the males, because probably because they do a lot of things in society. I mean, this saddens me when I'm saying it. It saddens me, but that is the truth. So I think for our aspect or this side of my community, this is what I can say, and what we can do to make it better is that we should ensure that these credible sites are approved, and then also we get this collaboration with media houses to also put more content about notable women out there, because if they don't, we virtually we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, thanks, Joy. We have about 2 minutes left to end our session, but there's one question I'd like to push to you, Justice, from Michael Kalba, who is asking, he would like to translate Wikipedia into another language, like a local language. Where and how does he start?
So I think if there's a Wikimedia community in your country, I think the good start would be to reach out to them, and then they might help you better. But they also, when you go on any of the wikis, there's a translate bot that helps you translate articles from English to any other language that you choose. You can also manually translate and write them if you want. Also, there are various ways in which you can also, like, I don't know if Google Translate is a great tool to use, but there are several translation tools that are available. And also, once you reach out to your community, they might be able to give you feedback better.
Thank you, Justice. Yeah, and I'd like to let Michael know there is a Luganda Wikipedia which you can join and contribute to. So thank you so much, our speakers. It was a wonderful session. Yeah, whoever is interested to join the support network, the contacts are there. Please reach out to them and yeah, join the support network. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.